This is a middle C. It's the first note I was ever taught on the piano. It's right here in the middle of the piano. Middle C, right? Octave above is a high C, and you have in between D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Strange alphabet in musical terms, that's just how it works. First note I was taught was that. It was also the first note I was taught on the cornet as well. It's the open vowels on the lowest harmonic of what's easiest for your lips just to play, the first note play. Didn't play it very well, but that's it. That's the first note you learn. If I was to play it on this beastie, whoops, it sounds the same, except a lot lower because it's a bass, about 2 or 3 octaves below. If I was to play that same note again, middle C on this instrument, sounds different again. Now why is that? I'm playing the same note on each one, but the note at the end, the note that comes out at the end of my instrument sounds different each time. That's really strange. That's because the instruments are tuned to different keys. So the cornet's in B flat, as is the B flat bass, and the E flat tuba over here. E flat. Piano is in C, which they call concert pitch. So you play one note through the instrument, but a different note comes at the other end. That sounds really strange. But that's because instruments sound different instruments sound better at different pitches. Like, they have a nicer sound over there. So like, for example, you have the saxophones, you have a soprano, an alto, a baritone, bass saxophone, and they all sound different because the tonalities are different in those pitches. And they're trying to get the same with all the brass band instruments as well. Now most of them are in B flat now, like the cornet, and you have E flat equivalents of the soprano, so which they play that higher range on there. You can have C trumpets, G, D, E flat and B flat, all different ones, but most of them are in B flat. B flat cornet, soprano, E flat. You have the B flat euphonium and baritone trombones with their soprano equivalents, the E flat horns. You have B flat basses with a soprano bass equivalent with an E flat, so just got that extra range on there. Now that sounds really confusing, and it gets really confusing when composers are trying to write for bands, because if they all wrote in the same key or the same note for every instrument, it will sound terrible because they're all tuned to different keys. If you're playing the right notes, it would sound different as it comes out and it would sound awful. So, but that's because, like I say, they're all tuned to be to the right pitch for their best of their tonalities. Now, if I wanted to play a C out of the top of this instrument, like down here, up here, that's what it should sound like on the piano, I'd have to play a D on this instrument because it's a B flat instrument, and the way that it's shaped, it will change the note to become a C, hopefully on the bottom of that. A D is a 1 and 3 here. So I'll play that again. That's the same pitch, but I'm playing different notes. I'm playing a C on this piano and a D on the B flat bass. If I wanted to play a C on the E flat bass, down here, again, because it's an E flat bass, I need to play an A instead, which is, if I play the normal C, it sounds like an E flat up here, right? So to compensate the note, I have to play different notes from my here. Now if I was to learn the same scale on both of the tubas, for it to sound the same coming out the top, I'd have to learn different fingerings for different notes. So to play a C on that note was 1 and 2, and a C on this instrument was a 1 and 3 fingerings. Yeah, 1 and 3 fingerings, like that. Now, if I wanted to swap instruments, that would become very confusing, reading the same notes but playing different pitches on there, so different fingerings. So instead, what they thought would be much easier is if I played different notes using the same fingerings so that they sound the same out the top. So I can play an A on this instrument and a D on this instrument, but they both sound the same, and if they're written differently, that's okay. rather than having to learn different fingerings for different notes so that they still sound the same. I learn different notes for the same fingerings so they still sound the same. It's so confusing, but it makes sense. It means I can swap between all these different instruments and not have to learn different fingerings, basically, just different pitches on my lips. And obviously be very good at keys. So that's how an A, a D, and a C can all sound the same. Confusing! Now if I was to learn the same scale on each instrument... Shush! Get out of the way.